We are back on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio, News Talk 1180, 1230 KGEO, 1410 KARI, 1000 KKIM in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and now on the Internet on knookmedium.com.
And before we get started on this last segment, John, you promised not to sugarcoat anything, right?
I'm going to make an effort to stop being so nice about the current administration and the current political establishment. So I'll try to unload a little bit for the first time on the show.
Our guest by phone is Congressman John Leboutillier.
Some people think our government's doing a fantastic job.
Not many, about 30%.
When you wish upon a star.
Yeah.
And Shirley Temple just died recently, I'm sorry to hear.
What's that got to do with the price of rice?
That really was a shame.
What's that got to do with anything?
It's just, I think of, it's like Wonderland with Shirley Temple.
Well, that's true.
And we're in Wonderland now with our current situation.
That's true. Speaking of our current situation, I have a question for you. I guess Congressman Issa, who's going to be out here in Bakersfield next week, had a little disagreement with Hillary Clinton and her being not so forthright. What do you know about that?
I guess that's on Benghazi. The thing is, Congressman Issa is head of the Government Oversight Committee, and this, to me, is a problem. That committee is tasked with investigating virtually every act of malfeasance by the government. So his committee, his staff, at the same time, are investigating Benghazi, the IRS scandal, two huge separate scandals that have nothing to do with each other. And they've looked into rigging the census numbers to create the unemployment numbers every month. They're looking into that. And I guess they looked in a little bit into the NSA, but not as much. But I think this is where John Boehner has really screwed things up. The Republicans have the House of Representatives. We have oversight responsibility over the executive branch. We have every right to investigate these things and not to have just one committee doing all of them. Why not have a select committee to look into Benghazi from top to bottom? There are 180 Republican members of Congress who've signed on to the bill to create a select committee on Benghazi for 90 days that would use existing staff from other committees so they don't have to hire anybody new and spend any money, and look at this thing in public session from top to bottom and get to the bottom of what happened in Benghazi, why, who told the truth, who changed the talking points, what was the CIA really doing there, all that kind of stuff. And Boehner won't do it.
Now, John, let me interject something here, okay? Because last time we had you on, you talked about this, and you said something that kind of blew my mind. I guess you and Pat Caddell said that you answered that question. You said the reason this hasn't been done is because you think somebody has something on Boehner?
Well, Pat and Doug say that all the time on the air, that they think the administration has something on Boehner to keep him from naming this committee. What other reason could there be? I mean, and by the way, I haven't even mentioned politics yet, but I will, which is if, as a result of investigating Benghazi, if Hillary Clinton were to be hurt by it for 2016, well, too bad. She was the Secretary of State. It's on her watch. She's a big girl. She knew what she was doing when she took that job. If she screwed up, she should pay a penalty for it. Now, I think the Republicans ought to study the New Jersey Democrats and the way they have gone after Chris Christie from the minute that Bridgegate thing broke open on a Wednesday with those emails, Wednesday, January 8th.
Bridge.
Do you realize 5 days later, Monday the 13th, they had already named a special select committee and hired a special counsel? 5 days to get that thing up and running. Subpoenas went out 2 days later. So in the course of 1 week, they had this investigation going. Benghazi is 15 months ago. And we can't get our own speaker to name a select committee when a super majority of the majority, 180 out of 232 congressmen, want the thing. It's shocking to me.
Our guest by phone is former Congressman John Leboutillier.
Well, John, it's not overly shocking to me because my understanding is that that Christie could probably beat Hillary in an election for president. But my biggest question is
not anymore. Not anymore.
No,
by the way, but he would have until this scandal.
Right,
yeah.
and that's what's more important to them, to keep him out from running. My biggest question: what has Hillary done to earn the right to be president of the United States?
Married him.
That's
well,
it.
I mean, what else is it?
Well, I had a lady
I mean, she was a senator for 8 years. I can't think of one thing she did. She was Secretary of State for 4 years. Can't think of one accomplishment or breakthrough or anything she had. Let's face it. If she were really Hillary Rodham, never married to Bill Clinton, she never would have been a senator from New York or a Secretary of State or a presidential candidate. It's the height of hypocrisy of feminism, where they don't like men and they don't like the way men get things, and they don't like. But then she lives off a man. She made all her political bones because of being married to Bill Clinton. She has no skill at all of her own to qualify her to be president. None.
Well, she may
Yet she's going to be the Democratic nominee, and she might very well be president. And I agree with you. The Democrats went after Chris Christie with a vicious abandon that I wish our side had sometimes, and I don't see it.
Since we're talking about presidential candidates, do the Republicans have anyone that they think can run and beat Hillary other than Christie?
Well, by the way, I don't think they think Christie could beat her anymore. I mean,
not
the
now,
polling
no.
since the scandal broke, yeah. I mean, it's still early. We don't really know. There's no telling who will run in the end and who might catch fire, and we don't know that Hillary will be so unbeatable. I mean, I think that Hillary will never be as popular as she is now when we never see her. She's out of the public light, and I think Hillary suffers one thing, which is the more you see her, the less you like her. And that happens to a lot of people in politics. The one that it didn't happen to was Reagan. Reagan had a unique deal. The more you saw him, the more you liked him. And he kept getting more popular. And Hillary, I think that by the time we get to 2016, that a lot of people are going to have second thoughts about her. But the Republicans have to get somebody good. I haven't answered your question with a name because I don't have one.
Yeah, none of us do.
You know, it's interesting. Game Change. I thought that was a fantastic book. But they talk in that book about how the top Democratic people were trying their best to find somebody other than Hillary because they knew Bill, with his baggage, would drag down the election again. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't imagine we're going to have to go through all that nonsense again. And by the way, there'll be new scandals because the Clintons can't stay away from ethical problems. There's always money issues with them. I mean, she just took $400,000 to give 2 speeches for Goldman Sachs. $400,000.
Wow.
If we don't think that is crony capitalism, David Stockman style, that, you know what that is? That's $200,000 a speech that's really disguised. It's a bribe, and it's a bribe for future services. We're going to give you $400,000. And we know when you're in the Oval Office, if we place a call, you're going to take the call.
But nobody can raise money like Obama.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I think the Clintons can raise it. I think Bill Clinton has told people, I'm going to raise $1 billion for Hillary. And their plan is to raise this money or threaten to raise it, which scares out any Democratic opposition in a primary. So she will be the nominee.
Yeah, John.
And if you're the nominee, it's like you've won the American League pennant. You're only got to win 4 out of 7 in the World Series.
Yeah.
You've missed half the tough part.
Yeah. John, unfortunately, we're out of time. It runs so fast with you. I would love to have you back with Doug, and thank you so much for the time.
Marty and Clay, again, I apologize for answering the phone at the beginning, but we did a good show. I hope your listeners like it, and I'd love to come back anytime, and I'd love to do it with you guys and with Doug if we can work it out.
Thank you, John. We'll see you in 167 hours on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio News Talk 1180.